Hey guys, let's talk about how to set up the pages. So first, the document size that I used is 1920 by 1080. It's a 16 to 9 ratio and it's a HD size. Most of the computer monitors are 16 to 9. So when you look at the PDF file, do a full screen, then it will fit nicely in a computer screen. We'll use 1920 by 1080, and the rest you can just leave it the way it is. Now we have a document here. Just zoom out a little bit. First, we want to make sure that we have a right margin size. So margin like being top and the bottom, left and right. So I found this website where you can set your width and column number of columns, and gutter width, which is the space between the columns, and margin, so that's left and right, and then top and bottom. So margin, I'll just do 70. 70 seems like a decent size, so maybe I could just use this number. So if I have all these numbers, as you can see, I would have a column that is a 271 pixel size, and then the gutter width as 30. So how do we apply this to our document? So we have 1920 max width. So left and right, if you take out the 70/70, then 1920 minus 140. So let's that here, 1920 minus 70 and 70, so 140 equals 1780. So we go back to our document. I just want to draw a box that's going to be our image area. And the height, we don't know yet, so let's just go back to calculator. So this time, it's a 1080 minus 140. So that's 940. So now we know the height, so 940. So the box you're looking at is approximately the image area, image and text area that we're going to be using. Right now, it is perfectly centered because I think previously I was working on this document. So if you could just look at it here, it's on the properties window, and it should be here, properties panel. So the reference point is on the corner. So this instead of the center. So the X and Y coordinate actually shows the location of this corner reference point. If I change it to center, then it'll change. So the reason I have it on the corner is that, so I know that it's 70 at the top and 70 on the left. So I have the even space around it. So that's how you kind of reposition it. Like for example, if you draw a box, you could just show up like this. Then in this case, you just simply change the reference point and change the XY position based on your calculation from the website. So now that we have image area, let me just see color so that you can see a little bit better. So it'll be about, if I just use a light gray, it'll be about that much. So the margin, it's not a lot, but since we will have a lot of white space, not too worried about it. So the margin seems 70 pixels seems okay. And now we have to just worry about the columns. Now to do columns, let's just go back to the website. So we have 6 columns and gutter width 30. So basically I just need to draw a box that is a 271 and 30, and then just copy multiple times to fill up the whole area. So let's just do that. So I'm just going to create a separate layer just in case, and then lock this. And then on the new layer, I'll create 271. And in this case, the height doesn't matter for now, but like we can use 940 pixels. So that's that. So let's just move this thing. Corner, snap it. So I just want to make sure that it snaps. Now the next one is, let's see again, it's a gutter width 30. So 30. So again, snap it. So again, let's double check everything aligns. So it's just a matter of copying this. Then I click, select everything, click and drag, hold on shift. So it's on the horizontal line, and then hold on option so that it's copying. So snap. Oh, let's try that again. Snap. Okay. And then now that I copied, I can just use Command D to duplicate. Command D, D, Command D, D. So as you can see, for some reason it's a little bit shorter. Maybe the calculation is a little bit wrong, but we can just ignore it. For our purpose, doesn't have to be super accurate. So that's basically our grid. So you can use as many columns as you want, and also the gutter width size, you want to just make sure that, let's say if you're using some kind of text within the column, then you want to make sure that the textures are not too close. You have enough space here so that it wouldn't hurt the legibility. Of course, depending on the font size, the gutter width should change. Also, the line spacing could change the gutter space too. So it all depends. So you just have to find what you need, basically. So now that we have these boxes, let's just go back to preview mode. So now that we have these boxes, what we'd like to do is I can just get rid of this box, the main box. So I'm just gonna hit delete. So I only have the columns and gutters. So in this case, instead of leaving it as shapes, I want to convert it to the guides. So you go view, then guides, and then you say, when you have your shapes selected, or lines or shapes, you can just say make guides, Command 5. So now there are guides now. They're red right now because the reason is that the layer color is red. So this is the default color I chose. So when I select it, it'll show as red like this, because of the layer color. Guides, like yes, you sometimes need to move it, but typically we are using guides for, at least in this case, we're using it for just placing things on the page. Now, when we place things, we don't want to accidentally select the guide. So of course we can lock it, but that's another step that we have to take. So view, guides, lock guides. Now you can select, it's locked, so you can select it. So this is good. This is what we want. So we can place things and move things without worrying about selecting the guides. So now that we need multiple pages because we need a cover, we need some pages for each project. So how do we duplicate this? So we're trying to duplicate artboards with the guides on. So in this case, we need to unlock the guides. Make sure it's selectable so that when we copy artboard, these guides are being copied too. So when you're ready, you go to edit artboard, and then let me just zoom out a little bit. Then you can just click and drag as you hold down Option key or Alt key. Okay? And here, I don't have to worry about lining things up precisely because I can always arrange them later when I'm done. So like this. So again, we have to make sure that the guides are unlocked. And once we're ready, we can just click on the edit artboards, and then we can just make copies as we're holding down the Option key and then drag. Now, again, like we want to rearrange. So click on the rearrange all. Maybe we'll just like this formation. So spacing, I just want to have a decent space between 80 columns, 2 columns fine, like this. So we're done. So then you can hit escape. So now the pages are ready, and the guides are currently on layer 2. So I guess you can just use the layer 1 for the artworks and such. The last thing, so for the guides, let's say if you want to release it back to a shape, select the guides that you want to release, view, guides, and release guides. That will just convert it back to whatever it was originally. So let's look at the document that I sent you guys. So I ended up using 12 columns, show guides. So 12 columns with a slightly wider gutter. So if I can just show the numbers here. So 12 columns and then gutter width 36. So I ended up with 115 column width. With the guides, I just placed the artworks. So as you can see, they're kind of aligned with the grid underneath, and the column information, you can use whatever the information that explains well for your project. And this one too, this one again, like same thing, just placing things. So this is in center here. The same calendar project, this. So obviously, for infographics, I know that you guys have like different shapes. However you do it, you can just kind of, resize, copy everything and resize, and just try to fit your projects nicely on the page. When someone's, looking at your portfolio on a screen, there won't be any pixelization because they are vector art. Here it's again like if you need to use some kind of images, then let's say like smaller images can take up about like 2 column sets like this again. So if I just get rid of the guides, hide guides, so it looks nicely organized. And then lastly, you just put the your name and your email or some kind of contact information. So that's pretty much it. And then when you're done, you can go save and save as, and you can do PDF, Adobe PDF, and save. And you could just leave everything and then just click on save. All right, that's pretty much it. All right, see you guys later. Bye. Bye.